Okay,
Thank you.
very good. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is November 2nd meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals for the town of Ossining. My name is Sal Carrera, Chairman, and joining me this evening are members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, Town Attorney, Building Inspector, Secretary. We have one hearing this evening. I will read the public notice and then request the applicant or the representative to give a brief explanation of the relief sought. For the record, please give your name and position on the board.
David O'Neill, member.
David Krieger, member.
James Blair, member.
Sandy Anelli, secretary.
John- Oh, go ahead, Christy. Go ahead.
Christy Adana, attorney.
John Hamilton, building inspector.
Thank you. Anyone that has a comment should raise their hands or basically tell us that they want to speak. You will give your name and address. After the comments are received this evening, we will try to render a decision. I will read the notice. The hearing is on an application of David Capasso, 11 Riverview Farm Road, for property located at 34 McCarthy Drive, Ossining, New York, and in accordance with the code of the town of Ossining, zoning section 200-21A, bulk regulation, table 200, attachment 2. The applicant is seeking an area variance on an existing undersized lot in order to construct a new single-family residence. The lot is 17,059 square feet in size, where a minimum of 20,000 square feet are required. The property is located at 34 McCarthy Drive in the unincorporated area of town of Ossining, owned by Woodcrest Development Corp., Post Office Box 152, Pleasantville, New York, 10570, as identified on the tax map of the town of Ossining as section 80.19, block 2, lot 58, in the R20A1 family resident zoning district. All interested persons are invited to attend the public hearing on video conference, Zoom, and/or send in comments by email to www.buildingdepartment.townofOssining.com, or send comments by regular mail to the Town of Ossining Zoning Board of Appeals, Post Office Box 1166, Ossining, New York, 10562. Application material and site plan prepared by William Sinofridis, architect, titled Proposed Residence 34 McCarthy Drive, Ossining, New York, dated September 28, 2020, is available for public inspection online at www.townofOssining.com, CMS Publications, All Documents Zoning Board. By order of the Zoning Board of Appeals, Sal Carrera, Chairman, dated October 22nd, 2020. For the record, we have a letter to whom it may concern from Jennifer Palladino, president of Woodcrest Development, giving the applicant the opportunity to discuss this proposal. So I would turn it over to the applicant to give us any input, and then we'll start asking some questions.
All right, good evening. My name is William Semino-Farides. I'm the architect. And as the chairperson just read, we are seeking for our lot size variance. Minimum lot size is 20,000 square feet. Our lot is just over 17. And we're proposing roughly between a 3 to 3,500 square foot house, two-story house with a garage attached, facing west on McCarthy. The property, as I mentioned, is undersized, and the reason for this variance is that precisely. All other setbacks are being met. I did provide a lot drawing, a site plan showing the proposed location of the structure. Again, it hasn't been designed, but it is going to be a two-story, one-family structure with an attached two-car garage. And I'll take any questions that you may have.
Okay, I'd like to start off with regards to, you may or may not have this information, since you are not the applicant, but representing everyone here, how did Woodcrest Development end up with a lot size of less than 20,000 feet?
That I don't know. I was surprised, as a matter of fact, that it hasn't been developed. There are newer structures along that road. So
Okay.
maybe John would know how it,
Okay.
but I really don't know. That's a history question.
I had asked John with regards to this,
Mhm.
because in the application, it says, this is similar to other residents along McCarthy, that they're undersized. And we're not aware of any other buildings there that are undersized. And, the question I always come up with is that, did Woodcrest Development develop a number of the homes that are there that were at the 20,000 feet and they ended up with this 17,000 foot?
Again, I can't answer that. I don't know what Woodcrest did. What I do know is the adjacent lot, as you turn the corner behind our proposed structure, is an undersized lot. And so are a few other ones down the road, which are older. The one behind is actually pretty newer. So that may have been part of Woodcrest's development. I'm not really sure.
Sal, I would, when I looked at the plot plan, it seemed to me that there must have been a subdivision here which split this, what would have been about a 35,000 square foot lot in half. Now, how, and so they just sort of, and then they built a house on one half, which would be the eastern half. And this is just just hanging out there.
But this is basically a leftover piece of property after giving the 20 some odd thousand feet to, if it was in a subdivision?
No, the other one's 17 as well. The back piece of property. It's the same size. I think they split it in half.
It was not on McCarthy though?
It's around that corner. Yeah.
It's on McCarthy. It's literally behind our proposed structure. If you turn the corner on McCarthy, it's literally the next lot on the same side, on the right side.
Okay, all utilities are currently there, all going to be tapped into, water and sewer?
All utilities are on the road. I was just talking to a few members, and I guess the town is planning on replacing the water lines because they're not that deep right now, I was told. And the sewer line may be replaced as well, but they are existing. It's an unpaved road. They are going to pave it as well. Part of it is unpaved towards this property.
Okay, and do you have any idea how long Woodcrest Development has owned this site?
No.
Sal, from what I understand, and Sandy, correct me if I'm wrong, but Woodcrest did not get the subdivision. It was subdivided before they purchased the property by the original owners.
So I don't know for certain. I don't have the file or the history, but if it was subdivided and at the time of the subdivision, it was creating an undersized lot, they should have gotten a variance at that point, which leads me to believe that possibly at some point, and again, I'm just saying based on what I understand the procedure would have had to have been at the time. The fact that they didn't get a variance means it may have been upzoned at some point in the future, meaning it was put into a different zone than that required, or there wasn't zoning in place at the time that the original subdivision had happened.
Well, I've been on the board for over 35 years, and I started with McCarthy Drive, and even though I'm getting up there in age, I don't remember somebody coming in for an undersized lot. To me, and I've done real estate for 50 years, is that it's very hard to swallow when there's a piece of property left over that doesn't meet the criteria of the zoning or the current zoning in place. And that, the developer, Woodcrest, just, took a chance on this and trying to sell an undersized lot. But that's just my business sense. I know McCarthy Drive up and down, left and right, because we were involved in it when the first houses were up. But those are the only questions I have right now. Any other board members?
Just a question. I had also seen on the Mark Seiden real estate website reference to street widening and street repaving. And I don't know, John, if you're privy to this information, is that something that's happening? And is the widening of the road only in the existing right of way, or would it affect this property in any fashion?
I do know that they will be doing massive work on that street. It was always thought to be a private road. And then a few years ago, it was discovered that it was actually a town road. So now the town has assumed responsibility. I'm not part of the project. It's being handled by the town engineer, Paul Frioli, and the water superintendent, Andy Teese. So I know that they're in the process of working up plans. I know they've been speaking to some of the property owners. They're advising them that they will be affected because the road, from what I was told, will be widened. And again, there will be new water lines put in. I don't know if they're going to do anything with the sewers, but there will be new water lines. And I believe the road will be enlarged, possibly, since they're telling people that it may affect their areas. But I don't have all the information since I'm not part of the project.
There haven't been many conversations. I sit with the town board, so there have definitely been discussions about this before the town board going back a couple of years. And John's correct that Paul Frioli and Andy Teese are kind of at the forefront of this. The way I understand it, the biggest issue that could potentially occur with individual property is if there are encroachments in the right of way that are going to have to be moved back onto the properties. But I haven't really heard.
But not the inverse of that, where the
Right.
road getting wider would in fact make this lot smaller in some fashion, and that would affect setbacks.
Well, that's also something, if it does, what the applicant is proposing right now, as far as I can tell on the plans, is a building envelope, right? So it's the location within which their project will be zoning compliant in all other respects except for lot size, because really they can't do anything about that. If at some point in the future it comes to light that changes are made to the property that render it non-conforming in another sense, or the lot size is smaller such that a greater degree of a variance would be required, they would have to come back to this board.
No matter what they do to that road, it's going to be a great improvement. In the very, very, very beginning, when the first houses were built on it, it was a private road. And I know that it just changed just recently, that even though the town had been maintaining it via snow removal, it just became an issue, and I wasn't involved in it. But no matter what they do to that road to make it a legal town road, it'll be nothing but an improvement for the whole development.
Specifically with respect to drainage, that's one of the big things that they're looking.
Yep. Any other comments, questions?
So one other question. So in the submission package, there was the environmental assessment form, and then following that, the impact assessment, which in the submission is not completed and usually completed by the lead agency. Where does that fit in this process?
So the EAF Part 1, the completed version, is something the applicant automatically submits in order for the board to be able to do an initial review of the project, to initially figure out what, if any, environmental review under SECRA is required. Because this is for a single family home, it's a type 2 action requiring no further environmental review. So there's to go further in completing the EAF Part 2 and Part 3 because it's automatically exempt under state law.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Blair, anything?
No, sir. I'll make a motion, though.
Right ahead.
Well, first, sorry, I just want to make sure that there, if we're going to close the public hearing.
No, I'm sorry. We have to go see if there's any comments from the
Right.
public. Anybody online that has any comment with regards to this?
So you can raise your virtual hand. If you look under the participant list, there's a button you can push.
Anybody, Sandy?
You're
Sandy,
muted, Sandy.
Sandy, you're muted. Your mic's muted.
Okay. Sandy, any people online want to make any comments from the public?
I don't see anybody with their hand up, but if anyone there's someone calling in on a phone, I don't know if
I think we lost our other board member again.
he's
So
joining.
Jim, why don't you make a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Second,
Second.
Second.
thank you. I'd like to take a vote on this, if it's all right with everyone. And understand that the decision we're making, the criteria for an area variance is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting of the variance, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance, whether the requested area variance is substantial, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. This factor is relevant to the decision, but the fact that the difficulty was self-created does not preclude granting the area variance. Out of all of these, the last one, I think it is self-created, but looking at everything else, I feel that this application should be approved. I think it'll be a benefit for the neighborhood as compared to what it looks like right now. So all in favor of granting this? I'll take a vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. So for the record, unanimous decision on granting the application. And we wish everyone good luck in moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you so much.
We'll
Welcome to the
visit,
neighborhood.
Jim. Take care. Stay in touch, Jim.
Thank you.
We
Goodbye,
might get
everybody.
another application in under the wire. There's still time.
Hey, John, no more now until the end of the year.
Western Clyde, Sandy's the one that does that.
Oh,
Yeah.
you and I are going to have a talk.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.
All right, good
Good
night.
Good
night.
luck.
Good night, everyone.
Goodbye, Capassos.